Minasan konnichiwa and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today guys, today's going to be a really short story, but it is something that I feel a lot of people are misunderstanding, so I wanted to make it clear in this podcast. For those of you who are listening to this podcast at least, I only have usually about a few hundred people listening to this, but still I did want to share this with you because I believe many of you who are listening to my podcast will have an opportunity to come to Japan, maybe already or maybe coming already have plans or maybe have plans in the future. So anyways, what I want to talk about are about masks. Now in Japan, I'm pretty sure I made a lot of videos saying that Japanese people not take their masks off, and it's taking forever for the rules to change. But finally, in 2023, from March 13th, masks have become something that is up to you, basically, for you to put on or put off wherever you want, basically. Indoors, outdoors, it does not matter anymore. So, for example, if you go to convenience stores or restaurants and such, there used to be a lot of signs everywhere saying that please wear masks, please wear masks, please wear masks. But now, right on March 13th, all of those papers and everything, flyers basically were all ripped off the walls, and now you don't have to wear masks, even on public transportation either. However, if you actually come to Japan, about 90% of the people are still wearing masks, even though it is starting to get a little bit warmer. And of course, there are two reasons why, and I will like to explain about this. Because a lot of people who I meet in the tourism industry are very confused because they've heard that Japan is supposed to be able to take off masks very soon, but no one is taking it off. So they're like, so what is the truth? Can we take it off or can we not take it off? Well, what's the truth kind of thing? And there's basically two reasons to it. Number one is the reason I've been explaining many times in my videos. Japanese people have lived in a collectivist society for a very long time, since the beginning of its history, basically, almost, because of the environment. How it's an island with limited resources and with a lot of natural disasters. And something I don't have to repeat to you guys, especially who are listening to my podcast, because I'm pretty sure you've heard me explaining about this over 1,000 times. So that's one reason. If you see on the news, there were people explaining, there was a interview, basically a street interview, asking people, are you going to be taking off your masks, after March 13th? And you're like, well, it depends on if the people around me will take off their masks. They ask another person. What they say is, well, it does depend on if my coworkers will take their masks off. They ask another person, well, it does depend on if the other people riding the bus will take off their masks. Yep, this is exactly how Japanese people are. They can't decide anything on their own, so they always have to wait for everyone to gradually change. Now, of course, I always talk about this as something negative, but of course there are the pros and cons to it. Because everyone constantly focuses on each other and tries to cooperate, yes, Japanese people are, for example, good at team sports. Japanese people are pretty good at baseball, let's say, for example, or certain sports, or building something together. We are, I guess, somewhat better at a certain level because of this trait. But anyways, the second thing that's really important that we all have to keep in mind, the reason why Japanese people can't take off their masks, especially at this season, probably until around the end of May, is because of hay fever. Hay fever is something that a lot of people do not know about in Japan, but it's something very critical, for a lot of people. By the way, I do not have hay fever. Pollen allergies, you call them. I do not have any pollen allergies at all, so I don't wear masks anymore anywhere, but for a lot of people, it's really hard. What happens if you have hay fever, by the way, sometimes your skin gets all red and itchy. Some people can't open their eyes because it's really itchy, and they have to blink a lot. They're crying because they want to get all the pollen out of their eyes. Some people sneeze and have stuffed noses and such. And these are the three major symptoms that you will get if you have hay fever. And for example, the headmaster, or the head of the dojo at Yushinkan, which I always call Kancho, which I work together at the Samurai Experience, he has terrible hay fever. And his assistant, Osayo-san, also has her Instagram account, and she's a women trainee in our dojo at Yushinkan. She's my senpai, but she has terrible hay fever too, and she's been crying these past few weeks because of it. And this is one of the major reasons why a lot of people cannot take off their masks. So many people are like, yeah, if I can, I'd be happy to take off masks now, since that law, there were no laws, but the rules have changed, so we'd be happy to take off our masks. But right now, bad timing, it's hay fever, if I take off my masks, I cannot breathe, basically. A lot of people are like that. So what should I say? big this problem is, the hay fever, is that if you watch the weather forecast in Japan, you see sunny, you see the temperature, and then there is also information about how much pollen there is in the air on that day. Literally, it's as big as that. When I was in Beijing, by the way, when I was in China, the weather forecast said sunny, temperature is this, and this is how much pollution there is in the air. Basically, yeah. I was really surprised that on the news that you can see the level of pollution on that day. Yeah, I mean, like, you're living in a city and you see the level of pollution every single day is like something really was really shocking for me in the beginning. But just like that in Japan, you see the level of pollens in the air. Today there's a lot, today there's not so much kind of thing. They probably use some kind of, I don't know, machine or whatever it is to try to, or maybe data that they use or something, but they try to sum that number out, and they also inform people about that too. So for me, it doesn't matter at all. Nothing changes for me. So, but this year it seems it was really, really crazy. Some areas had 200% or more pollen than regular years, and it seems a lot of people were suffering. So if you ever have a chance to come to Japan around springtime and you see a lot of people wearing masks still, like right now too, about probably more than half of the reason why people still wear masks is because of hay fever. I think there are hardly anyone who still wear masks because they're afraid of COVID. Maybe less than 20% of people are like that, I think. Yeah. And the reason why I say so is because originally, like for example, I was talking with Gaijin Goomba, and we were saying that maybe right when tourists will be coming back to Japan, there might be some kind of trouble where Japanese people don't want the tourists to come back, or there might be some kind of conflict between the people, but there was absolutely no conflict at all, which means Japanese people were tired of it too. Japanese people were like, yeah, it's about time we go back to normal. And it's better that we have people from overseas coming into our country. It's just simply, there's more diversity. There'll be more people. You see more money, obviously, for the economy and such. And no one, hardly anyone, I've never seen any kind of news where people from overseas being harassed by Japanese people because they came in after the COVID pandemic. You know, I've never heard it. I'm sure if you ask each individual, they might have experienced something, because there are always lunatics everywhere on this planet, you know, so there might have been someone doing something stupid, but otherwise in general it's not a big problem. Yeah, so I think most people do want to take off their masks, but the reason why they can't do it is because of the hay fever, and a lot of people don't know about this. So from now on, if you ever find someone talking about this, or if you ever come to Japan at this season and if you see masks, don't think, oh no, Japanese people are still really afraid of COVID. No, it's not that. It's probably more than half of the people are afraid of pollen and hay fever, not of COVID. So then everyone, as I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know there's a lot of people studying Japanese willing to come to Japan to study, travel, or work, or even train in traditional culture and such. However, I'm very afraid that Japan will not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future, because we're facing a lot of social problems, we are losing our traditional culture, and the younger generations who are supposed to be carrying on the good things about Japan are dying because of those social issues being shoved against them. So I really want to dedicate my life trying to make Japan a better place. I want to try to solve the social problems, preserve and evolve traditional culture, and also help out the younger generations so they can have a brighter future. And to do this, the nearest goals I have right now is to achieve 100,000 subscribers on my new Last at 16C channel and welcome 100 online students with our online lessons. Also, 50 guests per month on my Yushinkan Samurai experience will be a great goal as well. And all of the other stuff that I'm doing are in the description box. I hope you can check it out for me. Guys, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast too. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.